Hey, what's up guys? Another knife review. Today we're talking about something a little different. Usually I'm showing folders, which is something I use the most. But I want to talk about and review this little fixed blade, little belt knife that I've been using lately. And I say lately, on and off in the last couple months. It's not something I've EDC'd. And I generally do not EDC a fixed blade because of the fact that I do carry a gun. So if I did EDC a fixed blade, it would be with a Kydex sheath, as you've seen. You know, this old school, belt loop leather sheath, I would want on my strong side, and there's just no room for it in my specific setup. But I think this is a fantastic knife, and I just want to go over for you guys and give you some information on it, my thoughts and opinions and so forth. This is a Rough Rider knife. This is part of their long rifle series, okay, where they kind of commemorate these older rifles. Looks kind of like a like an old black powder or flintlock rifle, something like that. It's a brass inlay, and this knife does have two brass pins that keep this wood handle on. You can see it's full tang, so one solid piece of steel and just two wood scales on there. The wood is a stabilized wood. I believe it's an oak. And stabilized or resin impregnated wood, basically they make it so that it's not going to age. If it gets wet, it's not going to swell. Stabilizing the wood is just basically impregnating all the fibers with some kind of a resin or plastic or so forth. So that it just does exactly that. It stabilizes it. It won't easily crack or anything. A lot of times you'll see that on some wood knives. But I think it's a fantastic knife. The price on this originally was like $8, $7.99, but I cannot find just this single one. This was known as the patch model. They also make a larger version, which is the Skinner. Slightly different blade design on that one. But I did find the set of two, both the patch and the Skinner. The Skinner is, again, a little bit bigger, slightly different blade style, in a double sheath. And you can get that at Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I'll put a link in the description box. And they're asking, I think, 17 bucks for the set of two. So that's awesome. That's a great deal. I wouldn't necessarily want the set of two. I just want one. But if you are looking for this knife and you just can't find it anywhere else, at least that gives you an option. But I'd just do a search on it. I'm sure other companies do have it, different dealers. But anyway, again, we have the brass insert here of this rifle, and then it says long rifle on the blade, okay, which is kind of faded now from use. But if I didn't already mention, this is a Rough Rider knife. I think Rough Rider has made some fantastic products in the last few years. Definitely up there with affordable but still quality products. This is made in China, or was made in China. You can see it marked in the back there. But I've talked to this before. I'd prefer, a US made knife because I live in the US and I like to support my own economy. However, it's not realistic to have everything made in the US. There's just too many things that we need in life, or maybe just enjoy in life, that just aren't made here. So that's fine, it's whatever. As long as the quality control is good, the price is good, the product's good, I don't care as much as I used to. It's just our society. We just got to deal with it, And people say, I only buy US made guns and I only buy USA made knives. Well, you know what? Your TV is made somewhere else. Your furniture is made somewhere else. Your shoes. So what's the difference, If I have the option, I do always like to pick something made at home where I happen to live. But it is what it is. A lot of cutlery is made overseas. But this is a fantastic product, for the money. I would definitely say this would make one of two great purposes this would serve, I should say. One is a first knife for youth, okay? If you have a boy, in Boy Scouts or something, or growing up, and you want to introduce your son or nephew or grandson, whatever the case may be, to knives, to the world of cutlery, I think a small fixed blade like this would be an outstanding first knife, okay? First of all, with a fixed blade, you don't have the issue of folding on your fingers, okay? Most kids who start off with knives, they cut themselves when they're opening or closing the knife. A lot of times it's slip joints, they're hard to open or close, or even if it's a tactical knife, try to flick it open. That's where a lot of times they get cut. It's not necessarily in the cutting. Of course, yes, if you're using poor cutting technique and you have a somewhat dull blade and you slip off things, and you can cut yourself like that too. But generally speaking, at least from my own experience, most of my cuts in my life have not been from cutting things, it's been from opening or closing my folding knives. So I think to start off with a fixed blade is a great idea. Number two, it's a very affordable knife. Okay, so if it's lost, broken, misplaced, whatever, you don't have to worry about it, okay? If it gets forgotten outside and it could rain on and just rusts to crap and you have to throw it out, big deal. You know, less than 20 bucks, pretty much anywhere you look for this. And also just overall size. I think for a kid, a fixed blade is going to be cooler, you know, or more, you know, intimidating. Not that you want to teach intimidation with kids, but I think it's just overall, from a kid's perspective, it's like, oh, dinky little folder, or whoa, look at this big knife, you know, big knife compared to little knife. And I think kids don't have the concept of, even though it folds, the blade is the same size kind of a deal. So I think it'd be very impressive, in other words, and I think a kid would have a little bit more respect for it, that it's more of a scarier knife, that it's bigger like that. Now, I do usually, when I suggest, because I've had people ask, you know, I'm looking for my son to get a first knife, what would you say? There's some great knives out there like My First Opinel, you know, or different models that specifically have a rounder tip, okay? That's the only little thing I want to add to this, is if you do happen to get this for a first knife for a child, keep in mind that it is a pointier type knife. A lot of times I do recommend a Wharncliffe blade for first knives for kids, simply because if they're forgetful or careless, if they poke something, they're going to be less likely to stab into something with a blunter tip as opposed to an actual point. However, if your child or nephew, whoever you're trying to, you know, teach about knives, is responsible enough, you can, you know, offer them a blade with a tip, okay? And it can be useful. And you could teach them all the different, you know, cutting techniques and so forth, and, you know, maybe even using that tip to kind of drill out a hole in some wood or something. But I think it's a great option, okay? The handle here, for me, it's just small enough where I can't get a really comfortable big grip on it. So again, I kind of see this as being the perfect knife for a kid who's maybe 8 or 9 years old. It can grow into it a little bit, and then when it gets too small for that person, and all kids are different. Some kids have bigger hands than others. They can move on to something else if they wish. But as far as size here, by the way, 3.5 inch blade on this, okay, 7 1/4 inches overall. Not a huge knife. But besides maybe being a kid's first knife, this would also make a fantastic workshop knife. Little beater knife to keep on your workbench, you know, so you don't have to keep pulling your folders out. A fixed blade, especially full tang like this, is going to be more, I want to say, dependable, reliable for heavier use. Again, being cheaper if you chip your blade out, or, you know, maybe you're using your knives improperly. You don't want to use your expensive folder. It's a great little beater knife. All right, so fantastic for that. This does have a full flat grind on it, but the grind kind of starts up here. All right, you can see it's almost the full spine, but obviously with this curve here, it's not completely full flat. But, you know, close enough. It's like a 95% full flat ground blade. Came razor sharp. One of the sharpest cheap knives I've gotten in a very, very long time. Overall blade style on this one, I think, is pretty versatile. You have enough belly here for some good cutting. Again, a nice acute point on this for penetration, depending on what you want to do. That, of course, depending on what you're doing with your knife, the point can be very effective, okay? A lot of times if you're opening even packages and you're not worried about so much cutting something delicate on the inside, instead of using kind of the belly to slice, say, the tape open or something, you can use the tip just to pierce into the material, okay? And I see some people, they'll hold their they'll hold their knives kind of like this, okay? Almost pen-like. And I've seen, specifically Gun Websites has done this before, and it's fascinating to me. And he naturally, he uses, I believe, a Benjamin Griptilian in some of the videos, but he'll naturally hold some kind of a grip like this, and he'll use it almost like a pen, drawing a line. And I've been tinkering around with this lately because this is something I've never done before. And sometimes it'll be like an overhand type thing. I've done this before to cut, and it's a similar manner, but he actually will almost use it like a pen or pencil. And this is extremely effective, you know, in cutting. I think that's just interesting that I've observed. But yeah, you can use that tip to penetrate into, say, the cardboard, if that's where you're opening like a package or cutting a package. And then once you penetrate it through, then you can rip across. So, you know, different strokes for different folks, you know, whatever works for your school. But having a point on your knife is good for versatility. The only time you would not want a point is if you are using a dedicated knife for, say, rescue or something where you just don't want to chance hurting someone more by poking them in accident, okay? And other, you know, specific tasks. But if you're looking for a general purpose knife, I always look for a very acute tip because it is very functional. The construction on this is pretty good. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. It's got 2 pins. They go all the way through, both handle scales. If I didn't already mention, it is impregnated wood, so it's not going to split or crack or swell or anything like that. The sheath that came with this knife, and again, I can't find this exact same one, but the other one has just a dual sheath. It's a very good quality sheath. It's nice fit in here. It's not going to fall out or anything. Nice little belt loop on this. This has been worn in because I did wear it around the house a couple weeks ago. And, it's pretty good. It's got a little pressed pattern in the front there, kind of Western looking. I just think that if I was back when I was, 8 or 9 years old again, I would think I'd, just the coolest kid in the world if I had this on my belt, But again, if you're going to be teaching kids how to use cutlery for the first time and so forth, as the parent or guardian or whatever, maybe you're just the big brother, teach them responsibilities, all the other things, to be safe with it and all that. Of course, that's very important. If this knife does not give you enough handle, there is a lanyard hole drilled through, which is nice. All right, so you can pop something on there. 550 would be a little bit tough. It's a smaller diameter hole in this one, but you can get it through. I don't think that's a big deal. There's the front here with the insert is completely flat or flush, but the other side there is a little bit of a swell. Okay, it actually dips down right here, giving you 3 swells because it dips down here and here. Just a little bit of contour you can kind of make up here, and that's for when your fingers wrap around. It's not deep enough contour where you have to put it there. In other words, it's comfortable pretty much anywhere your fingers land. But if you happen to find your groove as you're holding it, it is kind of comfortable to leave those fingers in those grooves. But then you have kind of a lower grip on the knife. I wouldn't say it's, overly functional or anything. In fact, it's something I didn't even notice the first couple days I used the knife until I was really looking at it close and looking at the pins and, the fit and finish. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's some some grooves there. It is completely smooth wood, by the way. There is no texture or anything. This is just kind of like, hold on to your knife. You're not relying on any kind of, aggressive G10 or anything here. Just hold on to your knife. The blade steel on this is an 8CR14 MOV. Okay, I've talked about that before. Very easy to sharpen. Like I said, this did come extremely, extremely sharp out of the box, which is pretty cool. I've been extremely happy with all the Rough Rider products. Like I said, in the last couple of years. Also, Frost Cutlery, and I've poo-pooed them before in the past because they do make a lot of just junk, complete junk. I don't care if the knife costs $2, it's worth 8 cents, but I have to say, they've stepped up their game with their subdivisions like Steel Warrior, I think are fantastic, slip joints for the money. And Rough Rider has been a big contender, and I think it's been a big name as far as, cheap knives go. If you're looking for very affordable sub $10 folders and even fixed blades in some case, Rough Rider is a very good way to go. But they are still hit and miss. There are some models that just come out like crap and some that are just worth so much more, because of their quality. So it's a little bit of a gamble. But if you got a couple bucks and you're looking just for a new blade and you don't have the money to go get another Benchmade or another Spyderco or that new SOG, we're all still in the market, I think, for cheaper knives. So I like to review more cheaper knives in the future just to give you a better idea of what they are, because sometimes some of you guys out there just need a knife kick. You got to get your next fix, and if you only have 10 bucks in your wallet to spend, maybe something like this is more towards what you should do. I do always suggest that, not to settle on things. That goes for anything in life. If you want something bad enough, save up for it. Be patient, But if you're just looking for a new little blade to beat around, or if perhaps you only have a few blades and they're very nice to you and you don't want to ruin them, maybe you want to get something like this that's cheaper that will, function properly, and you don't have to worry about breaking in or losing it. So I think it's fantastic. It's an awesome little knife. This is the patch from Rough Rider. So nice little belt knife. Just want to do a review on it. People have been asking for a lot more affordable knife reviews. Of course, knife nuts, we're willing to spend $50, $60 on a knife easily, and then we'll go up into $100, $150 for something that's really nice. And then, in some cases we get a little out of hand and we'll get $300 knives or $500 knives, if you can afford it. Not everyone can do that. A lot of people out there are really just looking for $10, $20, maybe $30 knives they can use, enjoy, love, play with, and still be just as happy as the guy who bought the $1,500 custom, So definitely an awesome cheapo. If you happen to come across it somewhere, I'd recommend picking it up. You won't be, I don't think you'll be disappointed in it. So that's all, just another knife review. I've got plenty more to come. I've been playing with lots of knives in the last couple months, and I'm ready for some more reviews, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching as always. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy.